right, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking to the creative team behind the recently launched Kickstarter for Savage Wizard. But I'll just bring the creative team in and let them tell you about the project, and we'll get to know them and find out about the Kickstarter. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
So, as we get started, why don't you take turns introducing yourself, and then if you can, if you remember maybe the first comic book that you read, or maybe the one that got you, interested in the medium, then tell us a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about the project.
I'll go first, or else my anxiety gets to me. Let's see. My first comic book I ever read was a Punisher issue where he's down in Miami handling business. I was on a road trip with a family friend, and they thought a first grader was too old for stuff like Sonic. Like, they got their little kid, and they decided Punisher would be perfect for me. So that was my first comic that I ever read. What really got me into comics? Oh boy, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what I can really trace it back to. I think I just been a fan of the medium for so long, and I didn't have the money as a kid to really get comics. So when I was finally old enough, man, I just kind of dove in and picked it up, and I wanted to do it too. So
cool. Next.
Yeah, for me, I think my first comic ever was like a random X Factor comic. I just remember Guido, strong guy, being prominently featured in it. But honestly, I didn't get into comics until much later, just because, comics were, I don't know, at least for my family, kind of pricey, so I didn't buy comics on the regular. But it wasn't until college, I want to say, Runaways was what really kind of pulled me back into comics. I would say Ninja Turtles is something that's always kind of had me kind of at least on the outskirts, but Runaways by Brian K. Vaughan, that really just sucked me in and said, like, hey, like, I went to figure out like how to do this, how this works, is really kind of what got me back into the comic sphere.
Cool.
The first comic I ever read that got me into the illustration side of it was, I think, Calvin and Hobbes. I know it's not like a comic book, but I mean, the artwork in that, it didn't really grab my attention at first. It was really good until, you probably know it, but that one panel he draws where there's like a T-Rex chasing a jet fighter or something like that, and it blew me away. I was like, dude, he can do this kind of thing. And then I started drawing that panel over and over and over again.
Cool. So do you guys want to talk about the, who wants to kind of give an overview about what the book is about?
I can sum it up really quickly. I like to pitch it as, what if Conan was forced to reclass as a wizard against his will? He's kind of that character that hated magic and mysticism, and what if, to save the world, he has to do what he doesn't want to do? So that's basically what we're bringing here.
Yep.
And were there any more things that inspired the book other than I get the strong Conan vibe, like you were talking about? Were there any other inspirations for the book?
So it's funny. I told this to Doug later, but pretty much we had started the book around 2019, and it was around Pitchvember when you're basically supposed to come up with a bunch of pitches. This was just something I kind of randomly came up with what if a barbarian had to reclass as a wizard or something like that. So, I mean, I guess you would say it's lightly D&D inspired, just based off of those trope types. But it's funny, I hadn't even played D&D until recently. But basically, it's just that broad idea that I came up with, and then me and Doug hammered it out, and I think we came up with something that's a lot of fun and crazy. And Brian just blew it out of the water once we had him on board as well.
I think a lot of our comedy comes from like Skull Kickers, at least for me. I never was really into fantasy until I read Jim Zub's comic. I got it on like a Comixology sale, and man, it really sucked me in. It was so funny, and I hope we kind of capture that like fun of comics, fun of adventure and stuff like that.
So, did you guys? Obviously, it sounds like Leslie and Doug knew each other. Did you guys know Brian, or how did you guys, connect to, do the book?
So I knew of Brian. It's funny, all three of us are alumni of this kind of online thing called the Comic Jam, where basically a weekly artist and writer would come together and put together a one-page comic. And me and Brian, I believe, were in it at the same time, although I never got a chance to collaborate with him. But when me and Doug were kind of looking for an artist for the story, like just Brian's style, like immediately it kind of jumped into my mind when I was thinking of half-naked, beefy guys. Like Brian's definitely gonna, be the guy that we're looking for. And yeah, Brian has been awesome on this, doing art duty, as you can see some of the panels right there.
So Brian, who are your, influences as an artist? Because I kind of see maybe a few, but I would like to, hear who you say first.
Well, I guess I'm pretty heavily influenced from Japanese comics and manga, though I wasn't really super aware of it until about a year ago. Mm-hmm. On the spot, I guess I would say someone like, I forget how to pronounce the dude's name, the dude from Orkstein. You know
James
what I'm talking about?
Doki?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. He's big. I'm blanking because I'm nervous.
That's okay.
But
maybe some Daniel Warren Johnson.
That's a one. That's a big one. And yeah, guys like that. I'll remember all of them the second.
Of course.
That's quite okay. I can hardly remember my name sometimes. So, let's talk a little bit about the Kickstarter. What are you, kind of offering for people who support the book?
We're really trying to. So we're trying to raise funds to pay for the rest of Brian's art. It's phenomenal, and we're trying to raise that. We're trying to get a print run, so we're offering things like the physical copy. Me and Leslie have done comics in the past, so we're offering those in a bundle. There's stuff like we're trying to do some prints with some really cool artists that people hopefully will be excited about. Me and Leslie are offering to do like a talk with like a creators, help them out. Maybe if they're working on a project, maybe we can do like a Skype call or whatever, any kind of call, and help them, guide them if they're getting started or they need some, something to push them to propel themselves forward.
Okay. And do you know the tier levels that you're going to be offering?
Yeah, so sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
Can pull it up for you. 1 second. So yes, so some of the tiers are the digital copy tier, the physical copy, the barbarian tier, we call that, the digital bundle, which Doug mentioned, and we have a few mini print tiers. So we're going to have 2 mini prints done by some outside artists, and Brian has some art that we're using from his awesome interiors that we're using for 2 other mini prints. Mm-hmm. So there's also going to be a tier where you get the physical book and also all 4 of the mini prints collected, and then the aforementioned video chat, as well as the physical book and collect with that. And also Doug did mention we're going to have a tier where you can get drawn into the book, and so you get everything as well from those previous tiers, minus the video chat.
Now, is this a one shot or is it going to be like a series?
Planned mini series, so probably about a 4 or 5 issue mini series.
Okay, so the first one kind of just kind of introduces the reader into the world, I would guess.
Yep, exactly.
Now, is there do do each of you have a particular character either to write or draw?
Good question.
We really kind of just divided up scenes, actually. I would take on a scene which would be like, 4 to 5 pages, and then Leslie would take the next scene and write 4 or 5 pages. We would come back together and we would just hash it out until we got it to the place we went through so many more editing rounds that I'm normally used to, but I think we really did great of meshing together and coming up with this.
Agreed.
Brian, any favorite character to draw, or do you have a favorite scene that you'd like to mention?
Favorite scene is tough because we're pretty much in one scene. But my favorite character to draw right now is I guess we're calling him the Orc King, and he's just a giant orc with huge teeth and long hair and a crown, and he's just ridiculous. I just went like as crazy as I could with a lot of the stuff, and it ended up being like really fun to draw the guy.
Nice. So I don't know, is there anything else that maybe we haven't talked about the book that you guys would like to mention about before we kind of move on?
Yeah, so the book, kind of like we said, is about a barbarian who's forced to reclass as a wizard, and it's a really fun and crazy story. It's a action comedy, but it's about basically having to grow and change as well as all the crazy comedy. It's about this guy who's kind of forced out of his element, and he has to expand his worldview and basically learn to coexist with people who are different than him. And it's really interesting and I think a lot of fun. But it's funny, when Brian came on board, he immediately I think made the introduction of the story so much more epic and feel than even what we had originally wrote. And that's the fun thing about this collaboration process, is that we obviously had the script kind of ready, and we showed Brian what we're thinking, but he immediately said, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" And when he showed us what he had in mind, he kind of blew our eyes open in terms of the scale of the story. So there's a character that gets introduced a little bit later because we added another 4 pages to kind of how the story starts, and she is kind of a mentor and a companion of our main character, and I just really love their dynamic in general.
Okay.
Yeah, can't wait till that gets introduced for sure.
Yeah.
So, are you guys, reading anything currently that you're particularly enjoying and think people should maybe check out if they're looking for something? It could be anything.
Most everything I have is still in boxes because I've just moved across state lines, but I'm really excited to dig into Everyone is Tulip by Dave Baker and Nicole Go once I get a chance to open up all my comics again.
I'm just currently rereading Promethea, Alan Moore and J.H. Williams III. If you've never tried it out, it's a really fascinating story. It's kind of this mythical, almost Wonder Woman-esque character that's been gone for so long, and this college woman's doing investigative journalism to try to figure out where this person's gone and how she gets sucked into this world. It's really fascinating. So I'm just enjoying all the detailed layouts that the artist is doing on this.
I've been reading Fire Punch. I've been rereading the ones I got because I couldn't get them all. It's messed up. It's not a fun book to read. I like it, but it's messed up. But yeah.
Those are usually the best.
Yeah, no. I enjoy it, but it's an uncomfortable, weird, experience.
Now, is this your guys' first experience doing a Kickstarter, or have you done one in the past?
I have done 2 so far. I started actually last August, September timeframe. I launched for a trade. it was successful. We got well over our goal that we were asking. It was really exciting. And then in February, I launched for an anthology. It was 300 pages. I had a ton of awesome creators in there, and we blasted past that goal as well. So hoping I can continue the trend and being success.
I was just looking at the page, and looks like you currently have 162 followers. So that should be that should hopefully get you at least mostly to your goal.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Brian,
a good sign.
everybody in. We hardly even showed off any art except for like a few teasers, not even full pages, and people were already automatically in. And just like that's the power of his art, is just like people are like, yes, I want this, please.
So this is planned to be a mini series. If it's a successful first issue in a mini series, do you think there's a lot more to explore in this world that you've created?
I think that's a really good question. I don't think we
Go
really.
ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm not really sure. We haven't really discussed that yet. I guess I've been a little less pessimistic than Leslie, as I've been like, let's just get this first goal and then let's talk about it later. So
yeah,
we're focused on this right now. It'd be cool to revisit it, but I think we're mainly focused on the current miniseries as is.
That's a good goal. Because do this, establish the world, and then if you want to play more in the sandbox, then it's there for you guys to do.
Exactly.
And if Brian doesn't hate us forever for all the big muscle men that we make him draw, I'm so sorry.
Millions and millions of works.
Well, I will definitely include the link to the Kickstarter in the show notes. And where can people find you on social media if they want to find out more about you guys as a creative team or individually? Leslie, go ahead.
I'm on Twitter at LesWrite, LESWRITE, and Instagram is LES_Wright. And yep, that's where you can find me.
I'm on Instagram under Kuru Flint, which is KURUFLINT. And I'm on ArtStation under my real name.
Okay.
I'm on just Twitter at Doug A. Wood, and then the number 1. And that's me.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else that you'd like to talk about, then I wish you good luck with the Kickstarter, and hope to have you back when you guys roll out issue number 2 and the other ones beyond that.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck, and stay healthy and stay safe. And maybe someday we'll meet together at a convention or something.
Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
2022.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to the book.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Chad.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.